coming back here gives me a chance to say thank you and spend some time with an extraordinary friend and partner who was by my side for 8 years. And Joe Biden and I did a lot together, but nothing made me prouder than providing better health care and more protections to millions of people across this country. We didn't get everything we wanted. That wasn't a reason not to do it. We didn't get everything we wanted. That wasn't a reason not to do it. If you can get millions of people health coverage and better protection, it is, to quote a famous American, a pretty big deal. That's what it is.
Now, I'm going to sign an executive order, and Barack, let me remind you, it's a hot mic.
Former President Barack Obama returned to the White House yesterday to promote changes to the Affordable Care Act. They were exchanging some inside jokes there. Obama also gave Democrats some advice when asked about the upcoming midterms.
Mr. President, what do you say to Democrats worried about the midterms? What do you tell Democrats worried about the midterms?
We got a story to tell, just got to tell it.
Joining us now, Chairman of the Democratic National Committee, Jamie Harrison. We've got a story to tell. We just got to tell it.
Got to tell it. You know, it was so good to see Bo and Joe together again. You know, those two just bring a smile to your face because it was about politics and focusing on the American people. And that's what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are focused on right now. And we have to tell that story.
What's the story?
Well, the contrast is an important one because, Joe, you know, elections are about contrast. You had a president who came into office where we didn't have vaccines available. Schools were shut down. People were losing their jobs and getting kicked out of their homes. And guess what? He rolled up his sleeves and he said, I'm willing to work with Republicans, but I'm going to do what is necessary to deliver for the American people. We got vaccines in arms. We put money in people's pockets. We delivered for the American people. And this economy has, 3.6% unemployment. 8 million jobs in 14 months. We made sure that the schools were let open. The reason why we could get through Omicron wave and not close our schools, where most of our schools stayed open, is because of the money that Joe Biden and Democrats put into preparing our schools to deal with that. So we have so much to tell.
So I guess the question that
Democrats have delivered, and we're going to continue.
The question that hovers all of this, though, is the price of food, the price of gas, and inflation.
The current situation.
And so, yes, it's true. It's never been easier to find a job. There are more openings than we've had in a generation, and the unemployment's at 3.6 and all. And President Biden has rallied the West against Russia. All those things are true. But when push comes to shove, and somebody goes and squeezes that trigger at the gas station, it's rolling up to $100. That's all they see in front of them. So what can the president, what can Democrats do about that?
Well, I think the president has already started doing some things in terms of gas prices, releasing reserves to try to bring down the cost as well. But this is the thing. Joe Biden has an actual plan in order to bring down costs, making sure that we are producing more things at home, and also looking at what are the other major expenses that people have in their lives right now that they need to drop down. We just had a bill on the floor of the House to bring down the cost of insulin from $4,000 a month to $35 a month. 193 Republicans voted no. The last time I know, I live in the diabetic belt of the country in South Carolina. You know, I know folks, Republicans, Democrats, independents, purple people, blue people, white people, all have diabetes. And they all have to suffer through those high costs. Why in the world is the Republican Party going to stand in the way of that? So we have defined plans. The Republicans are trying to block that. But you know what? Joe Biden is hell-bent on doing all that he can to continue to deliver.
My son's a diabetic, and one of my sons is diabetic. And Jonathan, I have people come up to me all the time who understand, who know that he is, and they talk about just not being able to afford insulin. The price has skyrocketed, and it's the same insulin it was a decade ago.
Yes.
Yeah, and healthcare costs certainly were at the center of the event, which brought President Obama back to the White House yesterday. But there are some outside forces at play here that make it difficult for Democrats. We were talking earlier in the show about how this war in Ukraine could last years, and that's probably going to keep energy prices up if that's the case. We have a warning from Deutsche Bank this morning suggesting they're predicting a recession in the United States next year in 2023, post-midterms, but potentially on the horizon. How do Democrats get by those?
Well, I think we continue to focus on ways that we can bring down the cost. We continue to figure out how we can create more jobs, good paying jobs, union jobs in this country, so that to alleviate the pressure off of the American people. That has to be the focus. That is the focus of Joe Biden. I was just with him at the White House a few weeks ago and invited to lunch. My wife told me, she said, now you got an invitation to the White House. Don't get a big head about it. And I can tell you, there has not been a president that I've seen is so focused, because he talked the entire time about, I know those people in Pennsylvania it's hard right now for them, and we got to find ways to alleviate the pressure. And so I know he's focused on that, and he's also focused on Ukraine, and I think he's done a good job thus far in that leadership.
Hey, thanks so much for watching our YouTube channel. You can follow up on today's top stories and breaking news, or catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.